70 constituencies, 1.5 crore voters, and 11 hours. Delhi has cast its mandate in the first big election, the first big poll battle of the year 2025. The ballots are in, the votes are being counted, and the indications are that it could turn out to be a record turnout in Delhi. 57.7% by about 5 p.m. This high-octane battle revolving around issues like the Sheesh Mahal, freebies, Yamuna poisoned claims and the counter-claims, Rohingya and the illegal Bangladeshi influx. Fierce triangular fight as was made out to be, or is it just a two-way fight? Is the Congress going to break back into the leaderboard with respect to the Delhi Vidhan Sabha? Is the AAP going to continue to hold sway like it has done in 2015 and 2019? Or will the BJP break a 27-year jinx? It's all now locked in the EVMs. Result day, Saturday, the 8th of February, and you have to be where you are right now, here on CNN News 18. But this broadcast is the poll of polls. Our guests are joining us, seating themselves one by one. But Rahul Shivshankar and Zaka Jacob already in the studio. Smita Prakash, Nalin Mehta will be joining us. But first, let's just signpost some key important aspects that we need to watch out for. 70 seats, voting coming to a close. Aam Aadmi Party playing defense in 62 out of those 70 seats. They had 67 in 2015. Now, will Arvind Kejriwal's Yamuna poison come back to hurt him? Will 3 successive Lok Sabha sweeps by the BJP result in something? Perhaps the seat of Delhi at the state level, at the local level this time around. Big question there. Other aspects of Sheesh Mahal, some more aspects of corruption, the liquor policy, education, cleanliness and safai, the dirt dumps of Delhi, all of these, will they hurt the Aam Aadmi Party? Will the BJP really be able to cash in on the anti-incumbency like the AAP did in Punjab, move away the Rivayati parties, upset and anger of the locals, benefiting a challenger? Will the BJP benefit there? Will the Congress claw back? Will there be an AAP versus Congress scenario at all anywhere on ground that the BJP can benefit out of? These are all questions that the voters may have answered already. 25 to 30% decisive Purvanchali votes. Where are they going this time around? AAP versus BJP and versus Congress in the types of Revdi. In fact, the middle class is saying we don't want Revdi because it's based on our taxes. But the budget says the middle class will have to pay lesser taxes this time. So is the middle class going to be swayed? We'll have to wait and watch. We have a few Delhi voters in the studio. We also have Zaka Jacob on the magic wall. So let's start with Zaka on the wall. Zaka?
I think the first thing is the voter turnout. Already at 5 p.m. it's at close to 58%. Last time around it was 62.5%. So I'm fairly sure that it will cross last time's number of 62.5%. Interesting thing to watch out for is whether it will cross 67%. That was the 2015 election. That was the first time the Aam Aadmi Party got a full mandate on its own. I think that was a very clear mandate, a decisive mandate by the people of Delhi, because they didn't want this whole coalition business, the 49-day government, so on and so forth. 2013 also, it was 65 odd. So I have a feeling that this might actually, it will certainly eclipse the 62.5 that we got last time around, and it could well surpass 67. What this indicates is, A, it was a high-charged campaign, B, that voters of different voting blocks, poor, rich, middle class, have all come out. Anecdotal evidence seems to suggest that there were long queues, even in urban, plush, South Delhi colonies, where generally people are a little apathetic. There was anecdotal evidence that there were long queues today to try and cast the vote. And most importantly, it also means that different voting blocks of different political parties who have different political affiliations have come out in larger numbers. So it's going to be a much more closely contested fight. It doesn't mean that it'll be like a 38-32 kind of a fight. It just means that there's more motivation for different voting blocks to come out. It's not just the poor who are necessarily always motivated to come out and vote. It's the middle class which is mostly apathetic. So when you have higher voter turnout, it means that various cross sections of society have come out to vote. For example, in Maharashtra, the last election that you saw, it was a record turnout. Even in places like Mumbai, in South Bombay, where people don't turn up in good numbers, you had record turnout. Again, you're seeing something similar in Delhi, which means that it was a very closely fought election. Voting blocks of different political parties, of different affiliations, and different strata of society have come out in larger numbers. So watch out for this figure. I'm certain it'll go upwards of 62.5. If it goes upwards of 67, that would be the highest voter turnout in what, 20 years in the national capital.
65, 67 to 70%. Will Delhi beat that magic, that number of 2015? We'll have to wait and watch. But in our studios, we have three voters, three guests, or three people who have their vote in Delhi. देखिए मेरा और जाका का तो नोएडा में है ना, नोएडा, हमारा नोएडा, so we have got no ink. But Smita Prakash, Rahul Shivshankar, Nalin Mehta, उंगली किया कि नहीं? Did you get inked?
Yeah.
हाँ, किया सबने. हाँ. What was the experience?
Well, look, first and foremost, anecdotally speaking, I had never seen so many people at my polling booth. There were quite a few, and this was at 9 in the morning. So I was quite surprised. But look, why are we so vested right now in the turnout? It's because don't go by the overall top numbers from 2020, viewers. Look at the nitty-gritty, in specific, the margins. And let me give you some statistics. I always come armed with my statistics, hard facts, call them what you want to hear they are. In 2020,
That's a smart plug of your show.
21 seats. Always the right stand with the hard facts, okay? So 2020, 21 seats, 30%. That's 30% of all seats saw margins of victory less than 10%. This shows that actually the 2020 election was a very competitive one. And if there is anti-incumbency, you saw it in the ticket distribution. AAP was up off the block first. A month and a half back, they distributed their tickets. 30% of everybody was dropped. Sitting MLA, so much so that in the last week, 7 of them have decided to dump the AAP and go somewhere else and raise the banner of revolt. 31 seats in 2020 saw margins of less than 15%. So 31 seats out of 70,
70.
which is almost half,
Yeah.
saw margins of less than 15%. Now that is a big, small margin election. Okay. This time the BJP, don't forget, is armed by the big R, Revdi.
Revdi.
And of course Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul Gandhi.
No. The BJP is armed with the big Revdi. And they have said, okay, let's go toe to toe. So if the Revdis cancel each other out, what is this election about? It's about Kejriwal's image. And Kejriwal called himself a politician who is going to change the face of Indian politics. And in 2015, the middle class responded with a turnout that you just saw.
Correct.
Right? So if the turnout is now burgeoning, and anecdotally, it's coming from, and I would love to see a breakdown of the middle class boroughs. If it's coming from there, presumably a lot of these numbers which come very quickly to the EC come from well-organized polling booths, which tend to be in middle class, well-organized sort of, boroughs. The ones from the Mufassils, the smaller district, the poorer districts, the JJ clusters will take a little bit of time. And there the lines even tend to be longer. So I think this will be a very interesting election to watch. Super Saturday guaranteed. I'm telling you, in about 1 hour, 1.5 hours, even the exit polls will start talking. Already the so-called Satta market, I'm not sort of Satori or anything, but the Satta market seems to be suggesting that this is going to be a razor-sharp contest. So this is where the numbers stack up. And remember, this is not a three-way contest. This is a two-way election. And it has been now over the last 10 years in Delhi.
So two-way election is BJP versus AAP
BJP versus
or Delhi versus the incumbent?
No, BJP versus AAP on the ground. Obviously, it will be an election where anti-incumbency, if only the roads in Delhi were as nice as the graphics, maybe Mr. Kejriwal will not be feeling the heat that he is today. And remember, the top brass of the AAP has changed its constituency. So there is a definite problem. They're sensing it. Now, whether they have been able to sort of transcend all of that, there was a claim they made against the BJP.
Right.
But Delhi distinguishes itself in one way. The middle class is not monolithic.